Hello and welcome to part 2 of lesson number 1 in Unit 0 Algebraic Tools in our grade 11 University College math class. This is a review of polynomials. We started with a review of the terminology we use when we're talking about polynomials. We looked at how to simplify a polynomial by looking for the terms that are alike, which means that they have the same variable raised to the term has the same variable raised to the same exponent. And then we gather the terms together and combine them like we were combining integers. If we're adding an entire polynomial to another entire polynomial, we are going to remove the brackets by distributing that positive to all three terms in the second polynomial. Subtraction, same idea. The difference, of course, is that when you are subtracting, every sign is going to change in that second bracket, which is okay. So we have a minus 6s squared, a minus 3st, and a plus 2t squared as a result. That's the difference. That's adding and subtracting polynomials. Now we're going to move on to multiplying. Now when you multiply polynomial expressions, you essentially, at this point we have, if we look at this, we have one big term. We have one thing multiplied by another thing. One thing times one thing gives us one thing, so this is a monomial. Although it has two sort of distinct binomial parts, because they're being multiplied, that's a single term. When we expand it out or multiply it, we are going to distribute it. And what that means is you are going to multiply every part of the first binomial by every part of the second binomial. So that is how we would do it, just following those arrows. I'm going to erase those so we can just start from the beginning. And at the end, we're going to have more terms than we started with. Here we have one term. We're going to have more at the end. So let's multiply this out. Let's do the first terms multiplied first. I like to do the coefficients first. So 2 times 3 is 6, and x times x is x squared. And then I'm going to do 2x times minus 4, so that will be minus 8x's, plus 5 times 3x is plus 15x, and plus 5 times minus 4 is minus 20. So there we have, we've expanded it out. We have 4 terms here. Are there any terms that are alike? There are, right here in the middle. So we are going to simplify that in our next step. Plus 6x squared, a minus 8x, and a plus 15x gives us a plus 7x, and a minus 20. And there we go. That has been expanded out. You'll notice now that we have 1, 2, 3 terms where we started with 1. So one thing we can remember is that when we're expanding out and using the distributive property, we end up with more terms than we started with. It's actually the opposite of factoring, which we're going to get to very soon. All right, let's have a look at another example. Here we have just a few sets of monomials being multiplied by binomials. So 2x times that, negative 3x times that, and a plus 3 times that. So nothing too fancy here. We're just going to distribute and do all the multiplication before we simplify. So 2x times 4x is, so 2 times 4 is 8, x times x is x squared, and 2x times minus 2 is minus 4x's. Now important when we do this next bit of multiplication is remember we're not multiplying by 3x, we're multiplying by negative 3x. So negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. And negative 3x times negative 5 is plus 15x. Recall that when you're multiplying integers, a negative times a negative integer will give you a positive integer. And lastly, plus 3 times x is plus 3x, and plus 3 times plus 6 is plus 18. All right, we got a big group of terms now in a polynomial. Let's look for the ones that are alike. We have an 8x squared and a minus 3x squared. Let's do a little rewrite. Minus 3x squared. All right, those guys are done. We have a minus 4x, a plus 15x, and a plus 3x. So we got a whole bunch of x ones this time. So minus 4x plus 15x plus 3x. 1, 2, those 3 are gone, and then we have a constant term there, a plus 18. And now we simplify. 8x squared minus 3x gives us 5x squared. Here we have minus 4x plus 15x. So I'm just going to do those first two. So minus 4 plus 15 gives us 11. And 11 plus 3 gives us 14 x's, and then plus 18, our constant term. There we go. That is expanding and simplifying. Let's do a couple more examples that just sort of increase the level of difficulty, because this is review, right? You would have done this in grade 10. So here we have some sets of brackets, and what you'll want to recall here about BEDMAS is that we're going to work the inside of the square brackets and complete that as far as we can first before we start multiplying by this negative 3 out front. So I'm going to work the insides of the brackets, minus 3. All right, here we go. So we're going to do 2 times x, 2x, 2 times negative 5, negative 10. That's a minus 4, so minus 4 times 2x is minus 8x, and a minus 4 times a minus 3 is a plus 12. And there we go. Actually, I'll make those the square brackets just so we remember. Those are the square brackets that we were working with. Let's simplify the inside of the square brackets now. So we have, in terms of terms that are alike, we have a 2x and a minus 8x. Done. And a minus 10 and a plus 12. Done. Let's combine those now. So we have 2x minus 8x is minus 6x, and minus 10 plus 12 is plus 2. That's as simplified as we can get inside the bracket, so now is a suitable time for us to distribute this negative 3 into each of these terms. So negative 3 times negative 6x is positive 18x. You don't need to put the plus out front, but you can if you want. And negative 3 times plus 2 is negative 6. So there you have it, expanded and simplified. Let's look at one more example. The caution I want to give you this time is that whenever you see in a question an entire binomial being squared, and we have 2 of them here, I'm going to strongly encourage you to do a rewrite step where you write out both binomials being multiplied together. This prevents you from making errors when you are expanding and taking shortcuts. For example, when people see x minus 5 all squared, a lot of times what they get is x squared plus 25, which is incorrect. That is not what it is equal to. You'll see what we get when we actually expand it out, but let's try to not use shortcuts here. Let's do a rewrite step when we can. The second piece of advice I'd like to give you is that when you have a monomial being multiplied by 2 binomials, that you expand out the binomials first. The reason is, again, you're going to make fewer errors if you do it this way. So let's start with that. There's our 3 just hanging around. So now we'll do 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times plus 3 is plus 6x. Plus 3 times 2x is plus 6x. And plus 3 times plus 3 is plus 9. Now subtract, and here's our second set. So here we want to expand out before we subtract, multiplying before subtraction, of course. X times x is x squared, minus 5x, minus another 5x, and plus 25. And now let's gather together the like terms inside our brackets. So here we have 2 that are alike, so 4x squared plus 12x plus 9 minus bracket, and here we have 2 terms that are alike again, so we have x squared minus 10x plus 25. So there we go. Let's distribute that 3 into this trinomial that we have at the beginning. This is as simplified as we can make it. So now let's distribute the 3 into all 3 of these terms. So 3 times 4x squared is 12x squared. 3 times 12x is plus 36x. And 3 times 9 is plus 27. Now at this point, we can actually distribute this negative again into each of these 3 terms here. Now I'm not going to do the rewrite step where I do subtract plus x squared and subtract negative 10x. I'm going to do it in my head. So just remember that we have an invisible plus here. So minus plus is going to give us a minus x squared, and minus times a minus will give us a plus 10x, and minus times a positive will give us minus 25. If you need that rewrite step, please put it in for sure. But if you don't need it, you don't have to put it down. And now we're just gathering together the terms that are alike. So there's our plus 12x minus x. So we have 12x squared minus x squared. Those 2 are done. There's our plus 36x and our plus 10x. Those guys are done. And plus 27 minus 25. And now we simplify. We have 12x squareds minus 1x squared gives us 11x squareds. Plus 36x plus another 10x is plus 46x's. Last but not least, plus 27 minus 25 is a plus 2. And that is how you expand and simplify polynomials. So in this lesson, we've gone over the terminology, we've gone over how to just combine like terms, how to add polynomials, subtract polynomials, and multiply polynomials, all with some simplifying at the end. If you have any questions, please reach out via email, or you can reach out in our classroom, in our video chats, or if you're in the classroom, you can speak to me in person. Good luck with the homework, and we're going to see you in lesson number 2.